week with a new microphone. This is Nick. We've got Matt with us, and we've got a very special guest today in his 127th start, I believe Evan said yesterday. First win for Sean Casto. Sean
just got it in there.
That just a little bit,
snuck it in.
I'm sure it's sweet. Well, congratulations on the win. We're going to talk a lot about that, and we're going to get to know you a little bit as well as we go through this episode. But we couldn't be more thrilled to have you on today. Your race was probably a little more straightforward than a lot of our races. And, you know, I know I've said this a couple times over chat since the race started, but I don't know about you guys. I was getting 2013 Daytona 500 vibes. Well, quite frankly, that was not the Daytona that we maybe would have expected Talladega we would have expected about a week ago. So I guess there's not a whole lot to talk about the race from an action standpoint, but I do think that it's going to be important to go through the days. So we'll start with the less impressive days first, and we'll start with Matt. So how did your race go? Let's talk a little bit about your Talladega, what maybe the expectations were going in, and how it ended up for you.
The expectation, the same as the last time I got on Race Spot TV, which was back at the Clash. Talk about that expectation, that dream that, hey, we're in the victory lane, have those daydreams, stay up late at night on Sunday night thinking about, how sweet that's going to be feeling when I'm, back on video, fist pumping as we cross the line 1-2. Can't help but have those daydreams, and you kind of have to, also reset yourself and realize the talent in this field. And, looking at the finishing results, even we talked about this, the field is stacked. There is nobody who's weak anymore, right? Every single person is a player. And so you still have that hope. Everybody has that hope going into Talladega. And so that was the goal, right? And I think anything less than a top 10 was going to be a disappointment. 30th in points doesn't matter, right? Yeah, this is an opportunity to get a top 10, right? So that was certainly the hope. When you talk about how the race went, early starting 28th, kind of just hung around back there, and I think it's a brother thing, right? So you're up front, and I'm feeling the lesser of the two brothers, and I want to be up there too. I want to, Marra Motorsports to get in tandem up front, and feeling like I was not doing my part, and slowly made my way up. As people moved high, staying low and patient, right? That helped, and got up to about 11th before mid race, and then I don't know how much you want me to talk about my day, but that's kind of around the same point where, you hit your climax of the race. And yeah, so do you want me to keep going, or is that where you think?
Where'd you start?
We'll stop there. Yeah. He started 28th, right?
28th.
So that was, yeah. Now, Sean, I'm curious, didn't see you. Actually, I think I did see you, now that I think about it.
I came down pit road once.
Yeah, I think I was up to the front of the beginning. Where did you start, and how did the race start for you?
We had a good set of tires on there for qualifying. Finished P2 somehow on the board there.
How do you run P2? And Dominic Howe put down like a 775, which was like a half ton faster than the whole field. And I know you both were almost 2 tenths faster than me. I'm holding the bottom line. What am I missing? What is the rest of the field missing? Because it feels like qualifying at the super speedways is so straightforward, but it just obviously to miss that much time, right? And for Dominic and yourself to be so much faster than the rest of the field, what is the secret?
Yeah, I think a couple years ago, Tony Stewart used to talk about, a monkey could just about drive a car around there by themselves. And I think we got ourselves a new monkey this week. But to be honest, yeah, I've always been a throw it away the first lap. Dominic and actually might have been Liam in one of our NIS races. I only did one this week. It's Talladega. What do you want to learn?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Learned a lot, to be honest with you. I learned you couldn't pass. So starting second was, I felt, an absolute game changer for me. You don't want to lead. You don't want to push the air. I don't know if we're talking about my race at this point, but
Yeah.
That was the game plan. Just ride as close to the front as you could, without pushing air. Save as much gas as you could. I didn't put a set of tires on it the entire race.
That's
Keep
good
it
to know.
up front.
Let's keep that in mind for
Uh,
the next couple of races.
Daytona is a little bit different. I don't and night race like if we would have had a green flag pit stop, leaving that pit box, leaving the apron, I would have been a little bit at a disadvantage.
Mhm.
But once we had that final caution too, I knew we weren't going to see green flag pit stop, so I didn't give a damn about those.
I gotta interject here. So no tires for the entire 94 lap race, right? So my question is, how do you have the balls to do that? Because at some point, you're thinking just from the standard, right? I need tires at some point. Maybe I skip one set. Nick and I were talking first pit stop. Maybe we'll take two if it's under green, right? This feeling was we need to take tires. Then that was bold, and thinking you didn't take a set of tires the whole race. You're not as far as I know, and I don't know how many races you did. You're not doing a 94 lap run. So what gets you that confidence you can stay on the same set of tires for the whole race?
So tire heat seems to be pretty key. So this week, like I said, I raced the Sunday night NIS and did an update to iRacing before the race, and I'm like, okay, don't know what they changed, but let's do it. And they changed quite a bit. It feels like. Um, so I noticed with the last build, if you get on somebody's bumper, you can turn them real easy. So bump drafting and all those physics now are entirely different. In the IS, when somebody got behind you, it felt like it made your car lighter in the rear end, which they say happens. So that in conjunction with being behind somebody and the force feedback, I run a G27 wheel at the moment. But anyway, so you can feel the deadening when you get the air taken off of you. And you say, okay, so that's what that's doing now. That's cool. So you feel that, and you're pushing coming out of the turn. You have somebody on you, taking the air off. So you go, okay, let's just keep a bubble. Let's just keep that bubble in front of us as close to the front of the field as you can. And so that was the tire strategy. In NIS, what green flag pit stop we had, I didn't take tires, so I knew, and it only wore. I think at the end of the race, I only had like 80% on my right rear, something like that. So I wasn't behind anybody. If I was pushing air behind some, the entire field through 3/4 of the race, then, for sure I wouldn't have had the same strategy. But at the same time, I probably would have to get to where I needed to be. So, teammate Nick Silver, he had 2 tires, I think, that last stop. His rule of thumb is if you got to sit there for the gas, go ahead and put the tires on at the super speedways. Left side only is get a little bit weird, but you can save some time because technically they're not going all the way over there. So I'm a big fan of not taking the tear offs. So I didn't take a tear off or a set of tires the entire race. Don't know if it helps, but it didn't hurt.
Well, I think to that point, so you were in second at least for that first run, I believe, unless you led the whole race.
I'll tell you this. So before our final stop, before I knew how much gas I needed, I finished the race. I ran out of gas at the end of the front stretch, or I guess the beginning of the front stretch after my burnout. So that kind of upset me. But at the same time, you only fill up what you have to, and I don't know where we were going there, but when we had that 4-car breakaway with the 3 team cars, it's 5-car breakaway, and then I got into the 30. But anyway, they were probably 3/4 of tank to our full tank, and I don't know if them being lighter pulled us out additional to everybody being. So that's another thing I've learned with this pack is if you're side by side at all, and in the old days, you can get the old days, a couple of days ago, you can get the pack together, and the pack would go faster than a set of cars was organized because it seems like their side drafting was okay. We're going to make the car on the outside go faster by doing this, not so much. And now everybody's just slowing each other down. So that's what they say happens. So 4 cars together, lighter fuel load, we pulled away. In the beginning of the race, after I think the 27 and I were out front, and one of the first 2 times I did my no tires thing. It's like the second stop. I came out in the lead, and I ran that for a minute. So 86, Dominic Howell. So I didn't want to lead. So I told Dominic on the restart, I was restarting first, him second. I was on the bottom. I said, hey, I'm going to go. I told him when I'm going to go. I said, I'm going to go at the line or wherever I said, and I want you to drop down before me. And I didn't say shit about the line. I wasn't thinking about the penalty, but I just knew, okay, this is our plan. Okay, cool. And he went just maybe a hair earlier than he probably should have.
He got black flagged,
so,
right?
And
yeah.
Yeah, but it at the same time, like it was part of the plan. So he went, and we're already. I mean, fuck, can't change it. So I short shifted, did what I needed to, and he got down, and then he got the penalty. Was never able to recoup. But I didn't want to lead. So after that happened, then I was leading for maybe 10 laps. I'm like, okay, I'm pushing a lot of air out here. So you got to play 3D chess. I ducked down below the apron on the back straightaway, drug the brake, let 2 cars by, merged back up in 3rd place, and continue my race. I really believe I basically controlled that race the entire race, and like it was.
You have the whole team up there, and I think
they found me. Yeah, they found me.
Yeah, holy cow! We were talking about that.
Yeah, that was and that's something we have going this season. Chris and Brandon, I don't have much racing experience with. I know Brandon's obviously fast wherever he goes, and he was at RSR for a season or 2, evidently, and Chris, I don't have much experience, but he's quiet and consistent, it seems. Nick Silver, we basically follow each other through every league. I kind of wear out my welcome, go away somewhere else, and he's kind of forced to follow. We're pretty good friends as far as that goes, and we ran at Sim 500 this past year and past couple years. And I don't know how many starts I have over there.
But I was going to bring that up. So
yeah,
I raced Sim 500 for I think 8 races in the truck series, kick-ass beef jerky truck series last year. And man, did I get my
so we
my
were
ass kicked.
We were admins in that.
Yeah, so Nick reached out to me in earlier this year, and I thought he was being friendly, and he was, right? But I think he was more wondering where the hell I had gone and if I was coming back. Given that, I think we were, racing and real sim racing together at that point. And, man, after racing the cup cars regularly, I have no interest in going back to the trucks. The league is awesome. It's ultra competitive. If you were able to do anything in that league, props, because the competition is next level there. I don't have time for 2 league races a week, unfortunately. So
yeah, and that's not to take anything. So that's basically how I was going to compare it. So over here you have Andrew and you have Daniel and you have I'm not used to the other names yet, but certainly if Sam could ever get out of his own way, he appears to be fast. So
that's an accurate assessment, honestly.
Yeah, I don't, but from what I can tell,
he's fast.
If it's not issues on the track, it's issues with his computer. I think he got disconnected at Daytona. Anyway.
I was talking to so the biggest thing I learned over in Sim 500 is basically, obviously, as they say, you got to finish. So you had your Andrews and your Daniels over there, and I don't know if y'all know the name Justin Fuller, but he's over there.
Daniel Fulkingham, Daniel.
You have your targets, and so you put yourself against them every week, and then the rest of the field. There's a guy named Chad Coleman over there. He had kind of a season just kind of woke me up last year. He top 5. I think he had like a P7 average finish. And you look at the results, it's like, okay, you finished second a couple times, but obviously just never really had any bad races. And was like maybe 5th in points, 4th in points, something like that, going to the chase. You're like, well, goddamn, I was racing with him every race, and I didn't finish there, so why can't I? So
that is the story of our life. It feels like is and I think it happened a few times earlier this year. We look, especially like after Homestead. I know Nick, you were feeling pretty good about Homestead. You look up and like, hey, there's the guys I've been racing with all race. I finished 27th, and these guys are top 15, right? So, amen.
There's a whole bunch of that. So that's what I was saying last week in that interview is, that's the goal. Just okay, so how many seasons are you going to say, okay, this is the season we put it all together? So I don't know how much y'all practice. There's a lot of guys that just hop on, and like Nick, my silver, or my teammate Silver, he doesn't do much practice throughout the week and hops on. He's mirroring my times. We
Yeah.
always kind of joke because we're right on top of each other in qualifying. And I put in a week's worth of practice. I'm running right
You're
now.
all fast. You're all at the top, right? And then getting that extra hundredth of a second, And I think part of the thing, and I don't mean to, because I think that the track that Nick was taking us down was recapping the race, because I think we do want to get to the finish. We want to talk about that excitement, how all four of you guys lined up. But yes, practice is something that Nick and I were trying to address in the off season, because practicing is one thing, but if you continue to practice the wrong thing you can practice and you run 1,000 laps. Like at Richmond, I hate Richmond. I suck at Richmond. I could have ran 1,000 laps there and not gotten any better, right? And so the thought is, how do you practice right? And I think something we were looking at doing was maybe bringing in a consultant of sorts, and maybe trying to recruit someone to the team, pay a little bit of money as we use our practice more wisely, because I think
you could use cryptocurrency to pay for something.
You guys were talking about that previously. I'm mining some Bitcoin over here. Hell yeah. But honestly, that was kind of the thought, is like, how there are people who understand it better than we do. Right. So how do you get to the next level? When we were playing baseball, when we were younger, it's like, okay, well, if you got a bad swing, if you swing that bad swing 100 times, you're just going to get worse. Right. So you got to correct the swing. So
muscle memory is a hell of a drug.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you do that here, right? And so that's something we talk about, and maybe we'll revisit it in the future. But it's a perfect example. And Nick, I know you do a lot more practice than me. Your I rating is exponentially better than mine now, and you've had more speed now, so it's actually reflecting for you.
Well, we say that. I guess I'll before we wrap up to Sean's race finish, my race was a little more interesting, I guess, unfortunately, than both of yours. Though Sean's, obviously yours was much better at the end. So just to kind of circle back, I started 9th, started 2nd at Daytona. So Sean, I saw your car up there.
It was blue.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked bright. It looked good.
Had a B on it.
Yeah, exactly. I was top 10 that first run. The caution came out. Second run got, I think restarted 12th, got back into the top 10, and really ran in the top 10 for the first half of the race. So wasn't mentioned once on TV. I'll tell you that. They got to work on that a little bit.
You got to get that video. You got to get the video.
I know. That's true.
Props to Ross, camera buddies, and RSR. Yeah, only guys.
Yeah. That reminds me. Hey, no. He broke up a little bit, but lap 3, and Ross apologized for this, but Ross Cato, man, he made he made his way into the bottom line on lap 3 when it looked like there was actually going to be a race, and not a single file line when we were 3 wide. Almost took out half of us on line. Yeah, the first 3 laps looked absolutely. I was like, this is not what I was
sitting there watching that. I'm like, this isn't what I saw on NIL.
There we go.
I was, I was like, this is going to be the least stressful race I've ever been a part of. And then we got in there, and Ross cut across my nose a little bit, and I drifted up because I just got tight, and it was the most unexpected thing. I think, you just, like you said, we were not expecting that. Almost took out, I don't know, probably 20 cars, both of us. Luckily, we saved it. Ross apologized, not really necessary, but holy man, it was not caught on the race broadcast either, but man, that should have taken out half the field. It was crazy. Then it got single file, got pretty mundane. And then, for me, I was, I think on the 3rd restart. So after the 2nd caution, it was like right around that 45 was, just got, honestly stuck on the outside on the restart. Probably could have forced my way in. Probably would have been better if I, made my way in on the inside and spun out. And then, Daniel was aggressive the whole race. And the only way you were going to make any moves on the outside is if you bump drafted way more than you should. And there was already, you couldn't bump draft. Like you said, Sean, Like if you got through that bubble of air, that was something like I'd never experienced before. Now we know what those real Cup drivers are talking about when they talk about that bubble of air. It was one of the most frustrating experiences ever.
There's ways around it, but
Daniel figured it out.
Going very high, right? Towards the wall. He was behind me for a lot of the time. You know, right before that third caution, Nick, he was running behind me in 17th, 18th place. And literally, so I had Eberhardt behind me, Fairnair's in front of me, and I'm like, I'm in a good spot here, right? You know, if I stay around these two, like we'll find our way up there somehow. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're just chilling in line, right? It is the most mundane, uneventful race you've ever experienced, like you had experienced, like you had thought, right? And you know, Eberhardt keeps pulling out. He's the only guy pulling out to the outside. And he's getting runs. He get 2 or 3 cars, and they fall back. 2 or 3 cars fall back. It just wasn't doing anything. And I was grateful. The only reason I wasn't in that incident is because, you know, you had gotten disconnected, Nick, from the Discord. And so when we pitted, I thought maybe it was me. Maybe I could try to rejoin, because I don't want to sit 60 laps, single file, and not have anyone to talk to have that strategy and that vision of us being up front at the end and not being able to talk to each other, especially with you up front. If you were going to compete for a win, I don't not want to be on the radio, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out now. And I fall back to 30th, but I would have been right there in the middle of that accident if I had, you know, not done that.
And there was nothing you could do in that situation. I think I saw it happen, couldn't get out of it. I didn't realize I lost my front end until after the race. I was more competitive than I thought I was going to be if I had seen that damage. But I mean, at that point, the race was effectively over. Could have been a blessing, because about 10 minutes later, it was on the broadcast. Evan and Jonathan and Dylan were way, way, way too nice. But my power went out middle of the track in turn 4. It was honestly, so I literally, it turned off for a second. Everything but the light turned off, but the computer shut off for a second. Luckily came back on. I think it was very windy yesterday, so I think that's what it was. Just thinking back to it, that must have been
Windy City, baby.
Yeah, almost knocked the power out. But the second it happened, I slammed on the brakes, and luckily there's only 2 guys behind me. They caught that on camera. The caution came out. We all had to do a single file restart, but somehow didn't hit anybody. Nobody hit me.
Did it drop you?
No, it didn't drop me. So it was like, it was a split second, but I had to log back into my computer. I could hear the caution come out, but I didn't see. I've never dealt with anything. Like, it's never happened.
Weird,
in 400 races. Yeah. So,
the last restrictor plate race we did, you did get completely disconnected. So your computer completely crashed and you had to restart it at Daytona, and you finished 42nd because of it.
Yeah. So this is the best case scenario. If that happens in the middle of the pack 10 minutes before, I'm having to have a laundry list of people to apologize for by name right now at this moment. So and that is the last thing that I want to do. So it was unfortunate. It was a little embarrassing. But at the end of the day, luckily the caution came out, stayed on the lead lap, and then pretty much just run around in the back for me. So, heard about the 4-car breakaway. We were in a 4-car breakaway in the back, just hanging out because we weren't fast enough. There was a few of us back there. For me, it was, that last caution came out at the end, and finished 32nd. Dylan tried to push me a little bit off turn 4. Not his fault. My car was undrivable, and it made sense when I saw the damage. And it just, the second that I got anybody close to me, I just got turned into the wall. But it was, there was no controlling that car. And like you said, Sean, you could barely, with a 100% non-damaged car, could barely get to push someone without feeling like you were going to spin out the second anybody was going to get close. And that happened like 3 or 4 times. Was going to finish like 26th, 27th. 32nd is not a huge deal. Nobody saw it. Nobody cares because at the end of the day, Sean won the race. So how did you get the lead? And then, at the end, it just looked like, from our side, it was probably the perfect situation for you because you had all your teammates behind you. And unless you're going to make a move in the tri-oval, there's really, how were you feeling coming to that green-white checker the second you guys got in line and all of that?
We'll back it up a little bit. So after whatever that final caution was, when we had our,
because you had to go twice, right? Yeah, twice with the green, white, checkered, right?
Yeah, for sure. But even further, so we ran the last 24, 25 laps under green before those green, white checkers started coming. So that was the race. And so
right
it was
way up front,
so it was myself, Chris Rabel, Nick Silver, and then Bowie was still like 5th or 6th. So Chris was on me. He was fairly well committed. Nick was on me until it was time to go, and Nick's been shit on enough, and he's looking for that win and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew and understood and respected he was probably going to go for it, especially if he had he's a hop to the top and take momentum, be the first car up. So I knew what his plan was. So I knew if Andrew went, he was going to hop in front of him, and then it was going to be game on, and that's racing. So when that caution came out and it took that away, then I had to choose. Okay, am I restarting? Okay, so we have Brandon's down there, so let's just, we can do that real easy, and we did. Then the caution came out again, and we had the single file. And at that point, there was nothing that Phil could have done. We were all for anticlimactic, but we are all for, we're committed to just, that's okay. This is where we're finishing. Cool. And
are you guys talking to each other through all this? Are you guys on Discord?
We're on Discord, right on. Yeah. So, Nick took, I think,
do they
2
legit
tires
get
at
on the
last
radio
stop.
and say, hey, Sean, we're gonna get you yours? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, we talked about it. We had 20 laps under green to talk about it, and and we're just holding steady. I was running about a half a lane up, giving him air on his left front for the keep our tires as cool as we could. But we did everything but execute it exactly. If that caution had come out, I don't think it would have been much different. But Nick would have gone for it, and
so
I don't know what they would have done.
I guess I'll make a comment on that. I did see on Twitter that Nick had made a comment that he wanted a chance to go for it. He felt like he wasn't given the chance. It sounds like you've raced with him enough to understand why he feels that way. I guess I'm surprised by that at all. Probably not based on what you said.
Oh no. Yeah, no, he's a racer. We're this is even, especially, I don't know how you want to compare the talent. There's certainly different strengths to Sim 500 here, but this is by far my best season. So top 5, 4 out of the 6.
Oh no, your numbers are incredible. I think
we're having a season. So to say I wouldn't still wreck absolutely everybody for that first victory. So that was what I was saying immediately after the race. Talladega is great, and this season, winning at Talladega almost kind of like, oh, yeah, of course we'd win here. Having a great season, let's get a win at Talladega, where anybody. But at the same time, we ran our same all season plan. Just ride and take your laps as they come.
Speaking from a team that doesn't win, a win is a win. And I heard that in your post race interview was, hey, well, anyone can win at Daytona, but you know what? There is no asterisks. I'm sorry, Talladega. There's no asterisks on that, right? That was a team with that. That is dedication to each other, right? That's a true team, right? I don't know how many teams are in our league that would sit there in line like that and work together that well, right? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That is incredible, right? Like Nick and I, we got 1-3 in the clash when there were 6 cars left, and we'll frame that, and I already did.
Silver and I have ran nose to tail for a long time on these plate tracks, and 2 cars you can make an influence on the decision, but you're just a part of it. And with 4 cars, this is the first time in I've been, whenever I started RSR, I don't think that was my first league by any means with iRacing, but I've been running at least that long as just an also ran team. And you look at the power, Aegis before we left was absolute powerhouse, and there still are. I don't know where they're at right now, but they still are. And I know Andrew's actually a part of them, I believe. So that's that. But being said, it's hard to get to this level and have the consistency with the team. So, yeah, with us doing what we're doing, the team stand is absolutely astounding. Keeping it
Oh,
real, Brandon Bowie, it's his toy. We're all a part of it. Like I said, Chris, Nick Silver, I would say Brandon and Nick are probably the horses, and I can't believe the luck I'm having.
Well,
Practice we talked about on it. I'm
so
doing. Go ahead.
oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Well, I was just gonna, I was gonna ask. So, to kind of finish up Talladega, you are having a great year. Your team is strong. I mean, Nick almost won last week at Richmond, right? I think Brandon has a win already. For yourself, we all want to know what that feeling is like. Only some of us do. What does winning 24 hours later? What did it feel like? How satisfying is it? Yes, Talladega. At the same time, that was more of a handling race than it was, a real super speedway race. So I think, as the winner, you take a lot more of that than maybe you would in a normal, blind draw situation like maybe a normal.
maybe Talladega last week. 2
Yeah,
weeks ago.
this was
How did it feel and how satisfying was it?
this was one of those prep, and I only ran one race, but this was one of those preparation and planning type satisfactions. I didn't get the joy of fighting for it.
Mhm.
I didn't get that come down from the natural, endorphins and all that good stuff. But I got my most kick out of it, and it sunk in whenever I watched the replay of the broadcast and crossed the line. I start just wagging the car back and forth. And I did that all the way down to turn 3. So I don't remember doing it, but I was happy about it, and I did it. So
You're just pumped,
that's
yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the feeling you're looking for, and that's the best answer I could tell you as far as that goes. But yeah, I said what I said about the plate tracks. This this was different. I had plenty of slick tire to do the burnout. I could tell you that. I don't want to know what coming out of the pits and down there on the apron would have felt like on those tires. But you make those calls, and once we went past our final green flag pit window, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. So we were, like I said, I finished the race with the same tear off end set of tires I started with, and
I don't mean to leave you with one more question because I know we're wrapping up Talladega, but you had mentioned that you ran out of gas doing the burnout. I know I was a little bit concerned about gas, given we had a third green white checkered. A lot of people were not saving gas on the apron. I was running on the apron there for probably both green white checkers, just in case. Were you concerned about gas at all, or did you know you were going to be okay?
I had 5 gallons, I think, whenever that final caution came out.
Okay.
And,
so you just burned off a lot doing the burnouts.
No. I mean, I ended up with about 2. I mean, maybe I ended up with. Maybe I had 5 laps when the caution came out and ended up with like 2. I don't know, something like that. But it was something around. But long story short, I knew I had enough. I knew we were going to run out of green white checkers before we ran out of fuel. So I'm a clutch, turn it off, and let it coast type of thing. Especially when you're a leader, you can set it sail and just let it go until they're here. So yeah, we were in the catbird seat there. Plus, I only took enough gas to finish. I run a race app or whatever, the sim racing apps.
Yeah.
And
so you got the overlay,
so
you got the extra info.
Yeah, it's not all the thrills and whatever, but
when you're running out.
Yeah, peek through the Oculus and I see what I need. I do that.
So you're a VR driver, fellow VR driver. I did not know there were more of those. Every time on the broadcast, I hear, that they bring up the VR because I'm one of 2 or 3 drivers who shares my video. Mm-hmm. They mention the VR. It's a good talking point, right? And I got the motion rig, and they talk about the immersion, but not a lot of the. Every time, it's not a lot of the professional drivers use virtual reality. Mm-hmm. They don't. They use the triple monitors or whatnot, right? And not the motion because they want. Yeah. Anyways,
I would imagine, with you having a team around you and them doing all this stuff for you, like imagine the Coke Series runs. I don't see how running VR isn't something you would do because you don't have to do much with your hands. I can see in normal racing where you are your crew chief and everything else, the peripheral it wholeheartedly sucks not having an outside world.
Nick,
So you wear it for anybody that doesn't. Yeah.
we should go to Nick.
Yeah. And
I think I honestly feel like I kind of told I told Sean, I was telling him a little bit, and Matt knows I play off of a tray table and a 55-inch just Hisense. So I think the thing that has affected me the most is I can't see how close sometimes people are to my right or to my left. And the virtual reality would solve that problem. And it may be an exaggeration, but that could be a tenth. And a tenth in RSR is enough to move you from 25th to 15th because you just have, know how to wall stuff.
When you're pulling out of your neighborhood in a busy road and you start to go and you second guess, if you second guess, you might as well just sit your ass there because you've already lost that opportunity.
Oh, we also behind those drivers, especially in the city. We don't want to be behind those drivers, right? Yeah.
Amen. So having the ability, what gets me with it is the 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, theoretically, if I look down to, okay, so there's one shoulder, there's another shoulder. Hey, there's the gear shifter, there's the passenger side window. You can do that all day long. And at a restart, at Talladega, wherever it needs to be, you have theoretically 1-to-1 scale. So if you memorize where that fender is, it's always going to be right there. Another thing I do is you got to have a seat that doesn't move around. If you're constantly relearning where your heel is each time you sit down, then that's not going to translate too well in theory. But
another good talking point. That's another good talking point. I'm doing a lot of things wrong that I'm gonna need to get fixed. So I think, Matt, we've learned more in this conversation that we can take with us. This is really, we're doing the podcast so we can learn how to be better.
Oh yeah, that's how anything is. Yeah. The practice, we were talking about that earlier. I don't. I was running against the AI at Richmond for basically the entire off week, and they're not entirely accurate. That is 100% true. But when you set them high enough, it's a carrot to chase. It's something you can do for an entire fuel run and see what the lap times do and see, and their tires drop off too. Kansas, I've started running with that. I started running with that halfway through last week. I didn't practice at Talladega, so so there's that little things those little things you can do. I run usually every 2 weeks. I have Saturday off, so those weeks I run Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday night NIS. I don't run any of the A fixed. Weather settings sometimes a little bit different. It's you're not gaining the track change. You're certainly gaining the restart, the start of the race, like that first little. You can test your qualifying hacks, whatever you want to do there. But that's another thing AI racing is good for. You can set that qualifying scrutiny to however you want, and you can learn what you need to do sometimes to finish P2 in qualifying.
That's fascinating because I don't know about you, Matt. I've never done the AI. I've never touched it. I only practice on A fixed. So, which is, it's nice for the official races, but I think Sean, some of the feedback that you just mentioned, I think I've told Matt multiple times. I'll go into our race session, and say this is not how the track draws. This is not how.
Well, that's part of the reason. Like Talladega, I do one race. Richmond, I did one race because I'm going to learn more in that 30 minutes prior to the race with everyone on the track, following people, maybe jumping in their in cars in the replay, and trying to learn a little bit. And I'm going to learn more in that 30 minutes than I would, 2 hours by myself running laps on the track, right? So.
What's cool about the AI is with the UI, you can set the track conditions and the launch time and the date to be exactly, and the sun acceleration, all that to be exactly to what our service settings usually are.
Yeah.
Evan says he sets the race start up to what the real life race start is. You can find that on JSki. So there's no so there's no reason you can't have a thorough at least idea of what the track's going to do throughout that run if you want to. It's there. So again, it's not 1-to-1 as far as what the opponent's going to be doing, but what I have been doing is, so you go out, run a few hot laps, you figure out what your speed is, and then you set the fast AI to where they're running well past that, but still obtainable. So that way, again, you have your carrot. but most of the time you're mid pack, you're tussling all race as far as the
Yeah,
AI
well,
goes.
that's what we do on a weekly basis. So I guess,
Yeah.
to wrap up, congratulations, Sean. What a great win. I think other than your win, there probably wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I feel like we just talked for about 45 minutes about Talladega, so there was a lot to talk about. But from a race perspective, I guess from our perspective, I think everyone in the field is kind of hoping that iRacing makes some changes before we get to Daytona. I mean, or at least Talladega. I don't know if that'll transfer. This type of racing will transfer to Daytona. I certainly hope not. So we'll kind of take it from there.
I will make a comment on that, and I was talking to Liam prior to the race because Liam did reach out to us, and we're looking to have Liam on the show next week. So now you're committed because I said it on the show. So Liam did talk to us, and we were going to work together, and he had mentioned that it's specifically the adjustments they've made to the bubble and kind of the draft package in general, and not necessarily the setup. Because I think we said on last week's show, I hope that maybe the setup changes to enhance the restrictor plate racing, but it really is kind of what they've done with the bubble in general that's causing these issues. And so I don't know if it's going to be fixed. Hopefully it is, right? But
I think it's close to what I hit on. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you talked about that as well. Yes, the bubble changes, right? And that I don't know that a setup change fixes this issue, right? And I don't know if iRacing, you hope so, but the hope would have been during the Pro Invitational that would have been enough to maybe, okay, we need to make some updates prior to or after, and iRacing hasn't touched the super speedway package. So, and it sounds like other than the Cup Series, the racing's good. Nick, you did some Xfinity Series racing, like that was 3x3, right? So,
yeah,
maybe they don't touch it, but let's hope, because I don't want to do that again. I don't think anyone wants to do that again.
Well, I have a soft spot for the Xfinity Series in any car and any track. But yes, Talladega was fun. And, our last point to Talladega real quick, nothing to do with any of us, but, I know we're having Liam on the show. It sounds like next week. We can't wait, but I got to tell you, and Matt, I know you couldn't really hear the chat as much, but Matt Dason, I don't know.
Our Xfinity Series
spicy as shit on the chat. I loved every second of it. I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I did. We need to get him. I mean, he needs to win a damn race. Is what he needs to do, so we can get him on the show. But but he should reach out to you, Matt. Please reach out to our Matt. We need to get him on the show. We need to ask him some basic Vegemite questions. We need to have him on, because I literally, especially after I crashed, I laughed for probably like 30 minutes to every comment he said, because we were in the Xfinity race we did at Talladega. We had the same complaints. We just didn't broadcast it to everybody. We wrapped the 35th, and it was a freaking joke. So I loved it. It was hilarious.
I made the same statement. I said, we're running in the back, trying not to wreck, and then we wrecked, right? The same thing, right? It happens every restrictor play race. And the back is not a strategy.
I loved it. It was so we need to have him on the show. But I guess I know we honestly talked a lot more about Talladega than I thought we ever could. But I think Matt and I talked, and I wanted to ask you just a few questions, Sean, to get to know you a little bit. It's a little bit about iRacing, a little bit about non-iRacing. So I'm going to ask you just a few quick questions if you're down for it, Sean.
Oh yeah, I've got all time. Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to, obviously we're all on the sim, so I'm going to assume you like racing in some form or fashion. What kind of motorsports do you watch? Do you enjoy? And do you have any favorite drivers? And there are right answers to this question.
Right on. Predominantly an oval guy. I think anybody is capable of enjoying F1 if they like any sport of motorsport. It's the pinnacle of what it is. So that's always fascinating to see, at least check in on. Yeah. Dirt racing, you respect it. You see what Bell and Larson are able to go over there and rip and do, and then you sit behind what is supposed to be the most realistic sim possible, and you get your ass handed to you, and you're like, okay, that's fun and entertaining, but it's I could see how that could give you an extreme amount of car control once you hop back over. So Dirt racing's fun. I watch football from the standpoint of from the chess. I don't know what it feels like to run through a wall, but I know what it's like to play Madden and set up the plays, and so you look at it
Yeah.
from whichever angle you are familiar with. So I watch racing from the driver's standpoint.
Mhm.
Drag racing, fun, but you know, and but yeah, NASCAR is where it's always been at for me. I grew up in the Gordon heyday.
Okay. He's
I
saying
Are you gonna tell
he's
us?
almost got it. So who's your favorite driver?
I was
And
saying,
if
you're
it
Yeah,
gonna
is
tell us
so
it's Gordon?
that is the
one
right.
of one of my dad was an Earnhardt fan.
Okay.
One of my earliest memories is sitting in front of the TV and them saying, which car do you like? And this was maybe 94, 95. And of course I picked out the
Of
rainbow
course.
brightest
I was
damn
gonna say,
car on the
all
track.
stuff,
I guess the tie rod wasn't visible right there, and so I pick out that one. It wasn't a bad one to follow. I remember him winning his first championship and
Yeah.
running upstairs and just trying to process like, okay, so what does this actually mean? I guess this is an accomplishment. This is kind of cool to be a part of. And anyway, so you enjoy it, and then 20 years goes by, and you're like, God damn. And so he leaves, and you're like, okay, so who am I pulling for now? And I'm in a that's again back to the Caesar's mantra. I'm an aggressive driver. Kyle Busch. I'm not a Kyle Busch fan per se, but he's enjoyable to watch. His passion is enjoyable. And it's hard to fault him for a lot of what he does through the spirit of it. Formula One. Everybody's a Senna fan unless you're a Mansell fan. So or Prost rather is what I should have said there. But long story short, going forward is what we're all here for. And if you're going to say that, then you can't hate Kyle Busch for what he does. So Jeff retires. He's like, okay, so I'm just going to pick somebody that I feel races like me. And then you're like, fuck, it ain't Kyle Busch. But you see that more times than not. So okay, so I'm gonna set him aside. Who else is coming up that you see? So you like what Hemrick does. I'm
That's a hot
kind
take.
of I'm kind
You're
of
gonna be
fond
the
of
only
I'm
person
kind
who
of
likes
fond
the
of
David
Gragson.
Jones.
I'm kind of fond of Gragson.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you say
So
yeah, I'm in there. Yeah,
he's not doing it as consistent as what he should be potentially in that car. But when he's on, he lets you know it, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So and those guys are fun.
Yeah.
You aced
But
the
that's pretty
question
much, I
when
guess,
you
the
said
end of that
Jeff
answer. Yeah.
Gordon at the beginning because
Yeah.
someone here on the
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
is in the same boat.
Yeah. No,
That's
I was.
forever. Actually, same year, Sean, 1997. Is when I became a Jeff Gordon fan. I was lucky enough to see him win at Daytona 500 in person, a Brickyard 400 in person, his
Nick
last race in
cried his
person.
eyeballs out at the 500.
I cried. I did. And that was there. I cried
Yeah.
for 30 minutes, and I was 14. It was his last Daytona 500, and I cried too much. And then I saw him win his last race, and I cried again. And yeah, I think I do agree with the Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, all of that. At the very least, interesting to watch. And the thing about Jeff is I drive just like him too. I can't restart to save my freaking life. So I think we're basically the same driver. Not in the later career, Jeff Gordon. And then one last question. I did kind of take this from the 12 questions with Jeff Gluck that Corey LaJoy asked for his next driver. If iRacing told you today you could only race one type of car on the sim at one track, what car and track combination would that be for you?
I like early tire runs on like Kansas this week. We're coming up on it, and my answer is not Kansas. But at Kansas, so the high lane you can run it pretty hard. Bottom lane's loose as hell, and there are plenty of guys that when that's the run, whenever Darlington, whenever the fast speed is those who can run it the absolute loosest. I'm not the fastest as.
Yeah.
But my race pace, whenever the speed breaks down, I'm top 5 at those tracks. I love a good slick Richmond. I love last week. I run a very heavy front brake bias. I said drive it off in the turn. Those things get too loose on entry. It seems with this sim. And anyway, but so I like a slick track. I like Dover. I love Dover.
Okay.
I love those types where you can just drive it in for days. I'm not exactly a brake marker type of guy.
Okay. So it's funny because I am.
I'm a reactionary. I'm a reactionary, and that's why I kind of like said Kyle Busch. And what I feel his problem with the Cup car is he's mentally slowed himself down too much. In Xfinity and the others, he can get in there. He doesn't have to worry about respect. I have a thing in my bio: respect slows you down. If you're worrying what they think about you, you've already lost an opportunity to potentially shove your nose in there. And there's a clean way to do it for sure, and that's what we're trying. But
Yeah, Sean, I don't think
so just
the way you're talking, I would expect you to have a lot of rivals and enemies right now in the league. I don't think you have that. I don't think you have like any penalty points this year.
Time away heals wounds.
Everyone's kind of saying is what I'm doing. I feel like I'm way too respectful, and I get my ass run over going into the corner. Basically, we're the opposite drivers, and I think it shows in the field finishes.
Well, I have so at the super speedways. I think right now our problem with this past week or this past race is we're at the limit of what almost. I think what we have is probably very realistic. I think we're probably at the limit of what we can do with perspective and what we can see in the cars with the computers and with the net code. We have to be able to side draft and absolutely just destroy each other.
Yes.
On the track to be able to make this package work, and we can't do that with confidence. In the NIS, the biggest thing I learned was they ain't going to finish the race on the green. Every time they tried to do something, it was disaster. So want to be at the front, want to be ahead of that. And
I think Nick was hoping for that after he got in his accident. When we were on the radio talking, hey, when you're up front, you don't want the accidents, but after you get in an accident, you're just waiting for more to get some free spots, and it never happened. There was not the big accident at the end, but regardless, hey, our finishes were what they were, but number one, man, fantastic.
Yeah, but my Twitch handle is Anger Racing. I have a little bit of passion I drive with. It's
when you're laughing at me next time, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I say a lot of things over the radio that I shouldn't. I'm pretty. You don't want to like embrace it per se, but I kind of do. I
reached out to Hugo as part of Race Spot, and I was like, hey, we'll get some spotter driver audio because Nick was spotting for me. Is like, hey, you want to use it on the broadcast? And he was interested. We gave him a link to our Discord and all that. And God, I hope he's never joined, because I think I'm more self-aware of the things that we're saying on the radio, things in the heat of the moment, right? That I would never want other competitors to hear, and I wouldn't want to hear myself repeat on the Race TV broadcast. So don't blame.
So anything you do passionately in a competition, you want that. I don't want to. I mean, you never want somebody to race you into the dirt, but I don't want to be out there. Somebody's just pacing. That's what's cool about running against a group that's capable of putting 12, 13, 14 guys in the win column before the playoffs start. Is you're constantly putting yourself through that, and if you don't put together that perfect race, you're going to go 127 races without a win. And so it's I'm certainly I'm riding the wave this season. I'm not. This is above the mean as far as the average goes. But there's a lot of truth in the just like I said, just let them finish. I think
I know we've had you for quite a while, so I hate to continue to ask a lot of questions and take us back to racing. The question now is, you say you exceeds the means, you've got the win, you're in the playoffs. we're 18 race, or no, not 18. We're not racing a 36 race schedule, but you got 12 races until the playoffs, or 13 races until the playoffs. How do you address these? Is there that, you get the win after 127 races? Do you get to relax for a little bit now?
So I was curious how it was going to affect me. I'm pretty encouraged to keep practicing right now. As far as go and get as much of this momentum as we can. Usually when I'm eliminated from the playoffs, I turn those 10 races into absolute chaos. I will pit in the middle of the damn run.
Yeah,
I don't give if an idea comes in my head and we're at Pocono, I'm like, man, I can short pit here. It doesn't matter. So I try to and I talk to my teammates. Hey, what are you all going to do? Okay, well, I'm going to do the absolute opposite. Maybe I can draw the entire field over on this way, and you all can do. And as I play, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Big chances, it sounds like. I think
I
it's
don't plan.
generally
Yeah, I don't plan on throwing away races, but
yeah.
We're going to try to combine and try to find that happy median. But I don't want to lose this muscle memory going into the playoffs. I think with this, avoiding crashes, when we get into this Kansas is one of the first races we had where we're pack racing, not pack racing type stuff.
Yeah.
So those, you can finish 30th real quick in those, and you get 5 to 7 of those a year. So you can have just real quick I can be mid points. So it's not willy-nilly time, but we can throw some haymakers.
Well, I think at that same time, you're in the playoffs now. You're second in the points. I don't even know if you physically could fall out at this point. In 13 races, if you finish last in every race. So, might as well try and go maybe get a couple wins. I mean, I think you're running well enough where at least a couple more will be doable. And hey, Talladega's in the playoffs, right? If I believe so correctly, and I think Kansas is too. So I don't
want to make anybody nervous, but we've Keeping It Real was already talking today in the Discord about what we can do to be so much better at the plate tracks. It's just going to come down to the teamwork and until this package changes, and the package is, I think, more than likely going to be adapted in other places than it is so much as nerfed. So,
well, Marra Motorsports is open to alliances on restrictor plate races. So if you guys are open, we are.
That's not in my book. I'm a representative.
That means no. That's a nice way of saying not a freaking chance.
I'm a representative.
Well, hey, we'll just tag along. I actually practiced with Nick a little bit and Brandon, and I think it was at that point where I said, they're too good. I can't get through the bubble there to even get to them. And this could be a real problem for us in the race. So
Andrew made a comment when Brandon came back. Evidently, he was happy to see, and I would put Brandon and Andrew in the same category of speed. It seems Nick and I have always been pretty. He's another one of those guys. You look up at the end of the race, you're like, well, damn, I ran with him all race. Why is he top 5 every race? And
Nick, that happened to me last race. I was racing him 3 laps down for the lucky dog, and he finished second. And I finished.
He had a power. Sound issue or something. But he don't quit. And that's what I knew. Not to go back to Talladega, but that's what I knew about him at the end of this past race was, if he had a chance, you have to go for it. So I get it. But
I think he needs to win next because he followed me on Twitter last week. So if you do that, then you deserve a win. So, but so I guess, really though, I don't know. I think we're probably going to be wrapping up. I think we talked a little bit about Kansas. Matt, was there anything that you wanted to add or anything you wanted to ask?
Not necessarily for Kansas. I mean, I was really looking forward to running the Highline. I did not get an opportunity to run a race today. That was my hope. Hoping the Highline's there a little bit. I did see in the eNASCAR race, the Coca-Cola Series race earlier today, I did see some middle line usage. So encouraging. Hopefully we get off the bottom a little bit because I enjoy tracks where we can get off the bottom. I'm typically a little bit better there. And the one other random comment I'll make is, and I didn't notice this until I had posted it on Twitter and then took it back because we had to adjust the time to the show today. But Nick, you finished P32 in the 32 car yesterday, and I finished P23 in the 23 car yesterday. Not where we wanted to, but a little bit of number symmetry there.
No. Well, before we go, that's not ideal. So we'll skip over that, but hopefully next week we take one of those numbers off of each of those.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a second or a third. But
there's no comment I could say here that wouldn't sound braggadocious. So I'll just...
Yeah, exactly.
You're going for a win. We know that.
Yeah.
You've got.
I think I was in fifth or second once or twice.
Right? Yeah.
Well, Sean, before we go, I think thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you having me.
So much of it. It was. I enjoyed the conversation, and again, Matt and I have learned a lot. So I know that I think I've been making notes while you've been talking here, but I didn't say that. But is there anybody you'd like to thank? I'm sure there are some sponsors and some people you'd like to thank for your season so far and your win yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've talked a bit about my team, keeping it real. We're doing things this year. I think that's getting noticed. They have a couple. I don't have any personal sponsors. I run a Velocity decal on the back of my car. That is a fire suit uniform apparel company. You can certainly look them up, velocityusa.com. They get stuff pretty good quality out the door for you. Plan B used to be Plan B. Now it's circlebdiecast.com. You have a promo code, keeping it real, KAR 2021, gets you. Pretty sure it's a discount at checkout as far as a free shipping. Also got Noah Talks NASCAR on board podcast as far as that goes. They're doing good things. Like to see as many new faces as you can. Try to help them. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is good fun. Slim seats, RSR. Pretty much anybody that puts an effort into it, we appreciate the good experience.
Yeah.
We probably should have said that hosting the show. Thank you to Sim Seats and Real Sim Racing and Evan and Jonathan and everyone over there. The reason we're here and we have something to talk about. And we have this opportunity to meet with you, Sean.
Evan runs a good league, but his broadcast and he's you can tell he's going to be fairly good at what he does in his long-term career. So
of course, yeah.
It's good to be under the banner of something you can say, hey, look guys, this looks pretty professional. So
yeah, it's we're a solid footnote where we can look back years from now and say that we were a part of a league with Evan and Dylan, a couple of those guys, definitely all those guys
for sure. Yeah.
So I guess with that, I think we're gonna wrap up. So if anybody's interested in joining the show, reach out to Matt. I know we've got a couple I guess sounds like lined up, but always looking for more just to get to know everybody a little bit better. If we win a race, you kind of get a free invite, I guess, as well. So maybe Andrew will come on since he wins every other week.
I was gonna say, how many times does he want to be on the show?
I don't know. Probably maybe once if we're lucky.
I think Sean has something to say for that, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for joining us as the winner.
Absolutely.
It gives us probably even slightly more credibility than we have, which wasn't a whole lot to begin with. But I think a little more every week is all we could ask for. So appreciate your time. This has been After the Turn. I think that's yes, After the Turn. Good show today. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully Matt and I finish a little better. Looking forward to next week. The guest that we're going to have, Liam, it sounds like. And have a great night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, everyone.